Here's the top stories for September 11th. OVP says $20.68 million spent for travel expenses from January to July 2025. Philippines protests China's plan to establish nature reserve at Scarborough Shoal. DPWH files graft cases against 20 Bulacan engineers and 4 contractors over flood control project's anomalies. French police arrest 250 during clashes with protesters, while Macron installs a new prime minister. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk fatally shot in act of political assassination at Utah College. The office of the vice president spent 20.68 million pesos on Vice President Sara Duterte's trips from January to July, with 13.21 million for local travel and 7.47 million for foreign travel. OVP Budget Division Chief Attorney Kelvin Jerome Tonito said. However, Assistant Chief of Staff Lemuel Ortonio stressed that all the travel overseas of the vice president is covered by a travel authority and did not use any public funds. Tonito also clarified that the travel fund spent as of July 2025 covers only the expenses of Duterte's security personnel as the vice president shoulders her personal expenses. The Department of Foreign Affairs said it will file a diplomatic protest against China's planned establishment of a national nature reserve in the hotly contested Scarborough Shoal. The DFA issued a statement on Thursday, September 11th, a day after China's State Council announced the establishment of the Huangyan Island National Nature Reserve. The shoal, the site of frequent showdowns between Philippine and Chinese vessels, is one of the many South China Sea islands, islets, and reefs that are claimed by China and one or more of its neighbors, including Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. The DPWH filed graft complaints at the Office of the Ombudsman against 20 officials of its Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office and 4 private contractors over the alleged massive corruption in flood control projects. Dizon personally submitted key documents to the Ombudsman to support alleged violations of Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act and other relevant laws. Officials charged include Kizara Rowena C. Discaya, beneficial owner of St. Timothy Construction Corporation, former district engineer Henry C. Alcantara, former assistant district engineer Bryce Erickson D. Hernandez, and construction section chief J.P.D. Mendoza, among others. Protesters blocked roads, lit blazes, and were met with volleys of tear gas on Wednesday in Paris and elsewhere in France, keeping pressure on President Emmanuel Macron and making new Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu's first day in office a baptism of fire. The government's Interior Ministry announced 250 arrests in the first hours of what was a planned day of nationwide demonstrations against Macron, budget cuts, and other complaints. Despite failing to block everything, the online-born protest movement sparked major disruptions, with 80,000 police deployed to dismantle barricades and make arrests. In Rennes, a bus was torched, while in the southwest, fires damaged cables, halting trains, and disrupting traffic, authorities said. Charlie Kirk, a conservative activist and close ally of President Donald Trump who played an influential role in rallying young Republican voters, was shot and killed Wednesday at a Utah College event in what the governor called a political assassination carried out from a rooftop. A person of interest was in custody, officials said. Authorities did not immediately identify the person in custody, a motive, or any criminal charges. But the circumstances of the shooting drew renewed attention to an escalating threat of political violence in the United States. The assassination drew bipartisan condemnation, but a national reckoning over ways to prevent political grievances from manifesting as deadly violence seemed elusive. Stay updated with the latest news. Visit our website at www.mb.com.ph or follow us on social media. Thanks for tuning in to the Manila Bulletin Daily Rundown.